We are second graders at Southwest Baltimore Charter School. We will be presenting storytelling through music. The book we are going to read is Bringing the Rain to Kapiti Plain by Rana Adama and illustrated by Beatrice Vital.
This is the great Kapiti Plain, all fresh and green from the African rains. A sea of grass, the ground birds to nesting, and patches of shade for wild creatures to rest in, with acacia trees for giraffes to browse on, and grass for the herdsmen to pasture the cows on.
But one year the rains were so regulated that all of the big wild creatures migrated. Then Kapiti helped to end that terrible drought, and this story tells how it all came about. This is the cloud, all heavy with rain, that shadowed the ground on Kapiti Plain. This is the grass, all brown and dead, that needed the rain from the cloud overhead. The big black cloud, all happy with rain, that shadowed the ground on Kapiti Plain.
These are the cows, all hungry and dry, who move for the rain to fall from the sky to green up their grass, all brown and dead.
That needed the rain from the cloud overhead. The big black cloud, all heavy with rain, that shadowed the ground on Kapiti Plain.
This is Kapiti, who watches her as he stood on one leg like the big stork bird. Kapiti, whose cows were so hungry and dry.
They moved for the rain to fall from the sky to green up the grass, all brown and dead.
That needed the rain from the cloud overhead. The big black cloud was heavy with rain that shadowed the ground on Kapiti Plain.
This is the eagle who dropped a feather that helped to change the weather. It fell near Kapiti, who watched his herd as he stood on one leg like the big stork bird.
Kapiti, whose cows were so hungry and dry, they wooed for the rain to fall from the sky to green up the grass all brown and dead.
That needed the rain from the cloud overhead. The big black cloud,
all heavy with rain, that shadowed the ground on Kapiti Plain.
This is the arrow Kapiti put together with a slender stick and an eagle feather. From the eagle who happened to drop a feather that helps to change the weather.
It fell near Kapiti, who watched his head as he stood up on one leg like the big stork bird. Kapiti, whose cows were so hungry and dry, they moved for rain to fall from the sky
to green up the grass, all brown and dead, that needed the rain from the cloud overhead. The big black cloud, all heavy with rain, that shadowed the ground on Kapiti Plain. This is the bow, so long and strong with a string, a leather thong, a bow for the arrow Kapiti put together.
With a slender stick and an eagle feather. From the eagle who happened to drop a feather that helped to change the weather.
It fell near Kapiti, who watched his herd as he stood on one leg like the big stork bird. Kapiti, whose cows were so hungry and dry they moved for the rain to fall from the sky to green up the grass, all brown and dead, that needed the rain from the cloud overhead. The big black cloud, all heavy with rain, that shadowed the ground on Kapiti Plain.
This was the shot, pierced the clouds, and loosed
the rain with thunder loud, a shot from the bow, so long and
strong with a string, a leather thong, a bow for the arrow, Kapiti put together with a slender stick and an eagle feather.
From the eagle who happened to drop a feather that helped to change the weather.
It fell near Kapiti, who watched his turn as he stood on one leg like the big stork bird. Kapiti, whose cows were so hungry and dry, they moved from the rain to fall from the sky.
To green up the grass, all brown and dead, that needed the rain from the cloud overhead. The big black cloud, all heavy with rain, shadowed the ground on Kapiti plain.
So the grass grew green and the cattle fat, and Kapiti caught a wife and a little Kapiti.
Who tends the cows now and shoots down the rain when black clouds shadow Kapiti plain.